because I'm getting some glare. Oh my gosh, I feel like, hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Jessica Janae. I am
Yes.
in San Diego, California. I have Janae Lux Pilates Studio, which is the second, I don't know what's the word, the second part of my Pilates studio. This is my second studio. So
Okay.
before that, I was just called Classical Pilates by Jessica Wagner, and so I decided to give myself a fancy name, Janae Lux.
There you
So everybody
go.
thinks my first name is Janae, but it's Jessica. I'm Jessica. I've been teaching for 16 years.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
Yeah. No, it's you're doing a great work. I've been following you forever too, so it's pretty cool that we're finally having this conversation.
yeah, that's so cool. I know.
Eh,
Wait, what's your handle on Twitter?
A few of them. One is personal victory,
Yes, yes, yes.
and the other
And
one is
then
real men do Pilates.
yes, okay, I do remember that. Yeah. You know what it
Hmm.
is? It's that Twitter, I go on there for strictly for the hate. Like I tried to make it really positive, really tried to make it positive and all about Pilates.
Yeah.
And then I realized like no one cares about this. They're all just out to eat each other alive. So that's what I go
Yeah.
there for. I
It's
come
worthless.
to I come to Instagram for the beautifully manicured Pilates lawns that we all present. That's what I come here for.
Well said. So true. Allison
Yeah.
had a comment here earlier just when we were talking about the legitimacy of what we do. And she says, legitimacy is within us, and we don't need to be granted by a professional organization anymore. And that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's so true,
Yeah. And you know what?
right?
I think that's why I never wanted to be a part of the PMA. I was just like, first of all, who who said you guys get to be the governing body of Pilates? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
and then also, I was on that call that we just did with Misty,
Yes.
last week, and it was like, honestly, I just don't even take the PMA seriously enough to even give a shit about what they think of black bodies or black people or I don't even want to be included, but
Right.
I understand that we need that inclusion. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Right.
understand that everybody needs to be seen, but I also
Hmm.
just don't, I personally just don't validate them as even as an organization that matters. Like I'm supposed to give you $200 a month and you give me what? An access to discount insurance?
Yeah.
What,
It's
what, what,
nominal.
what I get?
Yeah.
What I get for
Right.
that? It's
Right.
never been worth it to me. So that's where that's,
Yeah. Is it to be need to be seen or need to belong somewhere? Like I think collectively it's good to belong somewhere.
is it though?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, like you have your mentors and you
Yeah.
found some other black bodies. That's
Yeah.
your belonging, right? So then you can expand that to a bigger community, but like I don't think we need someone
To say that
to
this is who,
say,
yeah,
yes, you need to belong over here. You need to come over to my lawn so that we
right.
can belong. It's like, well, no, what's happening and who can support us and what does that support
Right.
look like? Like we've said,
What does
like even
support look like?
what does support look like? Like the Pilates Method Alliance,
Yeah. Is
it
it
should
just that you're giving
be,
me discount bullshit or I'm sorry, excuse me,
mm,
Brian. I'm terrible at cursing. Or is it just that you're giving me discount crap or is it that you are actually providing me with something, some value?
what is the definition of an alliance? It's a mutually beneficial relationship.
Right. And not just me give you money and you go, okay, you're in our club.
Right,
You know
right.
what, though, it's interesting because I feel like when the Pilates manufacturing companies, like the companies that make the equipment
Mhm.
and the apparatus, when they started doing um, certifications,
Yes,
that's kind of when the whole shift kind of happened. It was
mhm.
like, okay, now you have to be a part of Balance Y, or you have to be with Peak, or you have to be
Yes,
with Grotz, or you
Grots.
know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
whatever it was, and it's
Mhm.
like that's all capitalist bullshit. It doesn't have anything to do with how good of an instructor you are, how good your instructor was. It's these people teaching us how to do our craft on their equipment that they made. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I don't know that I buy into any of that.
Yeah, so why do you think we've believed it? Right? Because we don't do that with cars. We don't do that with other manufacturers and other items. Like we can sift through it everywhere else except with our
Hmm.
own education and our livelihoods.
I think because Pilates is so wide open, and like the idea that there's classical and there's contemporary and there's all these different forms, and there was no there was no one person going, hey, we're the, like, everyone's saying we're the best, but like
Hmm.
everyone wanted to be validated in that sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think in that, like, I mean, I was with Power Pilates, and they instilled from us right from the jump. You guys are of a certain lineage because this one came from this one and this one came, and you learned the whole thing. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I feel special. But,
Hmm.
honestly, does that mean anything? You know what I'm saying? So I think that
Right.
everybody's just wanting this validation. And I think that that's across fitness, period. I don't think
Is
that's
it?
just in Pilates. Yeah, I think so, because I think that even in fitness, because I've worked at several gyms,
Hmm.
you've got people who are just out of college and they've got all the letters behind their name and
Right.
their
And
email
there's
signatures and
certifications, and yeah.
and all their stuff. And half of them don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, but they got those letters and they're
Hmm.
out there and they're trying, and
Right.
and they're growing their practice and they're learning on the job. They're getting their hours in. They're doing, what I'm saying? But like,
Right. Right.
it doesn't. So I think it goes across every
Yeah.
spectrum of this validation, especially because, like, hairdressers, the state says, okay, you do however many hours, we're going to
Yes.
say you guys are valid.
Right.
There's
That's a
nothing like that
governing.
in fitness.
Right. There's that governing body, right? So it's not like
Yeah,
the College of Teachers or the College of
right,
Nurses,
right,
and so because there's no big governing body within Pilates, it's this Wild West, and everyone's posturing to say, no, I'm the authority, no, I'm the authority, no, I'm the
right,
authority.
right.
But with, as I was saying, like with fitness, I don't know if it's the same way because I focus in like sport conditioning. I don't necessarily say, well, I'm of the Todd Durkin lineage, right? Like
But some people do. Todd
some
Durkin's got a
people
big
do,
name,
but
so
yeah, he's got a big name. I could drop his name and you knew
yeah,
exactly what I was talking
right.
about. But
Yeah,
still, I can still
exactly.
make money without using his name.
Right. Yes. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I mean, also, though, there's a lot of people who use that name and they go, listen, I'm of this lineage and this helps bolster me. You know what I'm saying? This helps give me credibility, you know?
Yes.
I
Right.
mean, for years in my bio, it said I was taught my however many hours through Sherry Berkowitz,
Yes.
who was taught by Ramana
Hmm.
herself.
Right.
So that lends me some credibility. You know what I'm saying? And it's still in my bio, but it's like, you
Yeah.
know,
It's so
she's just
funny to
a really
me.
great instructor. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's a lot of people who Ramana taught who are
Mhm.
not even really that great of instructors, you know?
Right. Right. Well, yeah, and and my bio says a similar thing. But one of the things I've taken away from all of these conversations, I stopped talking about who I trained with.
Right. Yeah.
I've just like it just I
You mean as
don't
far as like who you have trained with,
who
or
I
who
have
even
trained
you
with.
train?
Well, both really, but I mean, I think along the lines of who my lineage is and all these different
Hmm.
things, I might say to a new person to the Pilates world that I'm training, just so they can understand how much I've invested to be here in front of them, training them. But
Right.
I don't do it to say, look how important I am. I'm a X generation. I train with this person. Like I may say it from time to time, but I don't. I'm trying to move away from that being the identifier of who I am or how good I am as an instructor.
Right. 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 So how do you feel like okay, so with a new client, how do you say to a new client that, like, hey, I'm the best? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
how do you prove
yeah.
that?
Well, that's a good
You
question, and
know?
I think that's the one time when I would mention I'm classically trained. I didn't do like a
Hmm.
weekend course. I did 600 hours. I did
Right.
my course 5 years ago, and then I did
Right.
another apprenticeship who was by a person who was trained by someone who was trained by Joseph Pilates, so they understand this.
Right. Right.
I'll
That
use
there's that
lineage
lineage there.
in layman's terms so people
Hmm.
understand how much I've invested in my education
Right.
as opposed to saying it to say, to other Pilates instructors to posture to show how good I am.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like in our world, it's not just classical versus contemporary, it's classical versus classical. Oh, you're
Right.
classically trained. Oh, so who did you train with? Oh, that person. Oh, that person. Oh, that person. Like, I mean, like, so
Yeah, and I
you get
I
into
hate
that
that.
messiness and like, yeah, exactly. So
I
from
do
like that's
hate
why
that.
I don't even bother to say it anymore. It's just like watch me
Yeah.
move, listen to me
Right.
teach. If you like those
Right.
cues, I'm the person for you, maybe I'm not the person for you.
Well, also, I feel like at this point, I'd like to, like, whoever I train with, God bless her. I love her. I love Sherry, but at the same time, like, I feel like I've done enough work and I've worked in enough studios and I've had thousands of clients. Like, I'd love to stand on my own at some point. You know what I'm saying? I'd
That's
love to be
exactly where I
like,
was going.
Jessica's enough. You know what I'm saying? Like this,
Right.
I'm a badass. I've been doing this for a long time. And you know what? It's
Right.
not about who taught me. It's about the fact that I've watched people go from barely being able to get out of bed to running marathons. I'm not running with them, but I helped them get there. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, you know, like
Yeah.
that's my, on my chalkboard, you know, is that like,
Hmm.
look, these are the people I've helped. These are the stories I've heard. These are the, you
Right.
know, and that I have the, and that I know I've watched people be where you are right now. And I know that I can help get you stronger, you know? So that is probably more important than anything else. And also more
100%.
important than whether or not I can do the exercises or how great I look in Instagram doing these poses, because that's a bunch of nonsense too.
Hmm. Right, exactly. But those testimonials, like you're saying, those success stories, those are the things,
Okay, there we go.
those are the things that one help people make a difference in people's lives, and that's why we're here in the first place.
Right,
And two, like it's what pays our bills. Like that is genuinely helping people. Like it's like whether
right,
where I sit in this pecking order of importance based on lineage and education to my peers is not
right.
paying my bills.
Mm-mm. Not at all. Not at all. And also, I mean, I don't know that Instagram is paying my bills.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, this
yeah,
is a great format that we have to showcase ourselves and to showcase what we do, but
yeah.
I, I'm begrudgingly social mediaing it up. Like this is like
Begrudgingly.
I'm kicking and screaming along the way. Like I don't want a social media, but like how else is anybody gonna know you? You know what I'm saying? This is
Yes,
it's
yeah.
not like you know, like this is
Mhm.
it.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right. Yeah. So
so
there's Emma has a comment here, and he's saying, "Can you guys please talk more about the black body? I always teach to the body in front of me, big, small, young, black, brown, white, and trying to understand if I'm missing anything." And I love that comment because everybody is unique, and there's people who specialize in speaking to those things. So when people come into your studio,
mhm.
is this something that you speak to in terms of like teaching to the black body, or like is that a
I'm being contemplative here for a bit because
sure?
uh, honestly, I haven't had a lot of black bodies in front of me.
Okay.
Um, and that sucks because I want more, you know what I'm saying? I want people, I want to be inclusive as much as I can, but I'm in San Diego and there's just not a lot of us, period. But
Hmm.
I feel like the people who I've had in my studio, I don't know that we're any different than anyone else. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
I mean, I know I got a bigger butt than some of the girls, some of the white girls that I've worked with. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Yes.
might look like kyphosis or lordosis or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because my butt sticks out a little bit more. But I mean, understanding that everybody is shaped differently. That's across the board. I might have bigger
Hmm.
boobs, so you have to understand that when I do the rollover, my tits are in my face. You know what I'm saying? That I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know that there's a teaching for the black body. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's teaching towards larger bodies and
Hmm.
smaller bodies and
Hmm.
weaker bodies, older. I think there's that, but I don't know that there's like the black body that we have to teach to. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
that's
Yep.
that's my thought process along that
Yeah.
line. And I guess that goes into like teaching to the body that's in
Yeah.
front of
In
you.
front
But I
of
mean,
you.
like teaching to the body that's in front of you. What are you going to do? You're going to be like, oh, this person's black, so I'm going to only give this person certain exercises. Or, oh, this person's black, so I know she can't do XYZ. Well, that's not true. She might not be able to do XYZ right now.
Hmm.
But you know what I'm saying? We modify and we keep working and we keep working and let the client know that, and also don't make the client feel like, well, you don't look like this, so we got to get your body looking like this in order for you to have a Pilates body. I think that's most important, and that
That's dangerous talk, really.
yeah, and I think that
Yeah.
that is across the board. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like I've worked with senior, like one of my first jobs teaching was teaching. I took over this lady's class, and it was at a gym, and everybody was like 75 years old. And it was like 20. When I first took over the class, there was 30 people. It whittled down to like 15 to 20. But just because they thought she was Mrs. Pilates. When I came in, they're like, "Who are you? Get out of here!"
Yes.
And they laughed, and and so whatever. But it was a senior citizen group, and you just have to. And they even were like, "No, we can't do that because we're old." And I was like, "Who said that?"
Yes. Right. Right.
Like they had already been told because she told them, "Oh no, seniors can't do this."
Mm.
Okay, well, seniors can't do this if they have this, or they can't. You know what I'm saying? But
But it's
let's
like
try this
people can't do this
modification.
because of this.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
it's like,
seniors can't do this because of this,
right, because
right? Like,
every senior person was different. Every person
right,
in that class was different.
right,
Every
right.
person. There was
Yes.
a lady who, when I got there, she'd been taking Pilates for 2 years. She had Parkinson's, and by the
Hmm.
time I left that class, she had less of dyskinesia than she did when she first started with me because she was working more vigorously than she thought she could. So
Yes.
I just think that, like, it sounds cliche, work with the body that's in front of
Hmm.
you, but it's not. It's really just about treating people like human beings and really
Hmm.
respecting the fact that I might be skinny or big or old or whatever, but don't limit me, and also don't push me to the point where I'm going to be hurt.
Yes. Now, the don't push you to the part where I'm going to be hurt part is interesting because that point, I would say what this way you're saying, that point is really dictated by how much you know as a teacher,
Hmm.
how curious you are with your movements, and
Hmm.
the questions that you ask a person as you're going through that, right?
Yeah.
So you can explore movement to the end range and then move it back and then regress and progress exercises in a beautiful way and get people
Yeah.
to a great place.
Right.
But that takes a lot of work
Yeah, and it takes time, and
and
it
it
and
takes a lot of
it's
time.
more. A lot of times, it's what's up here than rather what's happening with the body.
Thank you. So
Yeah,
there's
because a
no
lot of people
simple
are living in
formula.
fear of,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
can't do that.
Right, exactly. So, and I'm sure you can identify with this story. Like when I was working in personal training in a big box gym, I had one of my staff members who quit, and then I had to take over his clients just in the interim while we're trying to find the right person for them. And this lady had a knee injury. So this is personal training here. So then I was walking with her to the other side of the gym that had all the like the fixed machine type stuff as opposed to the free weights. And she's like, "Oh, my past trainer never took me in this area because I have a knee injury." And I was like, "So you've never been on this side of the room
Wow.
because of your knee injury?" And she's like,
Wow.
"Well, yeah." So, and then I was able to take her through a few exercises, walk things through
Yeah.
regressive and all these different things. And I think that that's kind of what happens sometimes is that we say,
Yeah.
because you have this, you can't go over there.
Right.
But
Right.
it takes us, us honing our craft and continuing to get better, understand movement in a way that we can explore movement and different ways to get people to where their body is reaching its full potential.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think I feel like um, half of our job is mental. It's getting them
Yes.
out of their head. It's getting us out of our head, getting us out of
Mm-hmm.
our own boxes. Also, like that trainer that didn't take that person over to the other side of the room was in their own box, and
Yes.
then they kept the client in a box.
And they kept the client in a box.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, so yeah, no, and I'm guilty of that too. I've kept people in the beginner stages for years because I'm like, no, if you can't do this exercise, there's no effing way you're going to be able to do that exercise. No
Mm-hmm.
way. And I'm not even going to teach it to you. And then
Right.
I have to go, wait a second.
Yes.
During the pandemic is when I realized, like, you know what? I'm a bit of an a-hole. Like, I've been keeping things from people that they can do because they couldn't do XYZ. And it's like, no, they can do that. They just
Yeah.
couldn't do XYZ. And it doesn't have
Right.
anything really to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, we
Yeah,
were taught these
totally.
progressions. These
Yes.
are the you do this before you do
You
this.
did it. Yes,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? And so it's like, no, there's stuff that they can do.
Yes,
So
exactly. So Phil's
that's
got a
been the
comment
great
here.
thing about the pandemic.
And yeah, it forces us to stretch our own perspective on it, right?
Hmm.
So Phil's comment here is, and sometimes it's a challenge with a client because they want to do more than they're ready for, and they want to do advanced work after the first week, right? I've
Oh
seen that.
yeah,
You have classes where people,
well, those
but it's
people.
like a swimming class sometimes. It's like, listen, you can't go to red until you finish the orange class, right? Like
Right.
so there is that balance. And the funny
Yeah.
side to it too is sometimes where you be teaching a class and then someone comes in to sub your class and then the people do exercise they've never done before because this person's coming in with a blank slate
Yeah, you
and
guys
can
were talking
affect
about
the,
that the other day.
yeah, that's so funny when that happens, right? You almost
Yeah,
feel like,
I used to have a couple of sub girls that would come in for me, and they would do a certain, oh, she had to do an XYZ, and then I have to really check myself because it's like, you know what?
yes.
And then my clients are like, well, we never did that before, like, and they're looking at me crazy, like, well, why
You're
didn't
like,
you
how
ever
come we
teach me
never taught
that?
you that? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, listen, I was in my box, now that you love it, let's add it,
Hmm.
let's add that to your repertoire. Let's build on what you have already. Let's take it a
Yes.
step further, So
Right.
being
Exactly.
humble enough to go, I don't know everything. I'm still learning.
Hmm.
I'm still learning. We're all still learning, and to be
Absolutely.
gentle with ourselves and with our clients.
Yes.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, but
Oh,
yes.
seriously.
Yes.
So seriously.
How did you find Pilates?
Oh, wow. This is a fun story.
Should I take a sip here before we start?
Yeah.
No.
Hold on a second. This is not booze, by the way. It looks like a solo cup, but it's coffee. It's a coffee cup.
Sure, it's
Sure.
coffee.
Well, my ex and I moved to California from Hawaii, and I never had to think about fitness. I ran around the island. I was in the ocean. I walked to work every day. I was a bartender. I was up all night, party, have fun, whatever, and
Yes.
I ate whatever I want. I didn't have to think about anything. And I was also like 22. And and we moved to California, and all of a sudden I had no job. I didn't know where I was at. I didn't have any friends. All I had was my ex now, but at the time didn't eat any leftovers. He only ate fresh meals every night. So I cooked every night,
Yes.
and everything he ate, I ate. And I just slowly went from a size 4 to a size 14 within 6 months, which I don't know if you know women's sizes. That's a huge, huge leap
Okay.
for 6 months. That's
Yes.
like 75 pounds in 6 months.
Wow. Okay.
And so I was really, really like depressed and upset. And I tried to go to like 24-hour gym, and I just go get on the treadmill, and I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I was too afraid to ask anybody to help me. And I'd pick up a weight, and I'd be like, am I doing it right? But I wasn't going to, I didn't, I didn't even know that there were personal trainers. You know what I'm saying? I was just
Yes.
like, I don't. So I didn't know what I was doing. I knew that I hated the gym. And one day I was at my waxer, and she was drop dead gorgeous,
Hmm.
just head to toe gorgeous. And I was like, why are you so gorgeous? And she was like, oh, I do Pilates 5 days a week. And I was like, what's Pilates? And
Right.
she was like, oh, I'll give you my girl's number, and you can call her and check her out, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right. So I called this girl. I remember coming back to my ex and telling him, my waxer, she does Pilates, and I'm gonna call the girl, and she goes, she's $50 an hour, and he goes, well, we can't afford that. And I said, well, he's call her up and ask her if she'll give you a deal if you come regularly. And I said, all right. So I called her up, and I was like, listen, I can't afford $50 an hour, but if you give me a deal, I promise I'll be there I'll be there twice a week,
Hmm.
every week, and I will never miss, and I'll pay you every week. And she said, okay. So she gave me $30 sessions, and we worked it
Wow.
out. We financially worked it out,
Yeah.
and that's all we could afford. And I went twice a week, and it was great because I didn't know I didn't know anything. I didn't know my
Hmm.
butt from a hole in the ground. You know what I'm saying? She'd be
Hmm.
like, lift your elbows, and I'd go, how? How do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you lift your elbows? Like, like I
Yeah.
just didn't know anything.
Right.
So after like 2 years of working with her, one day she told me, I came in and I was complaining about my job. I worked at a car dealership, and I said, oh, I freaking hate this. I hate this. I hate this. And she goes, why don't you go to school and become a Pilates instructor? And you can work in my studio. And I was like, what? Like, I
Hmm.
thought you fell out of a tree. I didn't know. Like, how do you become a Pilates instructor?
Right. Yeah.
And she was like, girl, they got schools all over the place. And I said, all right. So, and I went out there and I looked around, and it was just a blessing though that I found Power Pilates, because the only thing closest to me was like Sally's Pilates store. I'm making that up, but like it was
Right.
just and I was just
Some
like,
random. Yeah.
I don't know what that is. And then there was Bossy. And at the time, Bossy was very, like, their website was real janky. And and I have been on the internet long enough to be like, I don't trust that website.
Yeah.
And then I saw that Sherry was in LA at the time. She was in Beverly Hills, and so Power Pilates was advertising for California, and their website was on point. It was easy to understand. You understood what you were paying for, what you were getting, how long it
Yes.
would take. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Because I don't do
It's
anything. I
clear.
don't go in blind. Like, what? How do
Yes.
I gave you money, but when do I show up? No, I want to know it all up front. So
Yes.
they had a very organized system, and it seemed like, okay, well, we could do this. And I would commute. I would stay all week in LA, and then I'd drive back to San Diego on the weekends for a year.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just, and that year everything happened. It was just, I learned. It was interesting though, because I remember going to her, and the first weekend was the beginning mat class, the beginning mat. That was
Yes.
the first weekend,
Hmm.
and we all did we all got together the first thing, grab your mats, get on the floor, and go to the workout. And people were doing exercises, and she was calling out exercises that
That
I
you didn't
didn't
know.
know.
Yeah.
And I had been teaching. I had been working out with my instructor for for 2 years, and I didn't know any mat exercises.
Wow.
And so I'm looking around at other people, and I'm doing the 100, and I'm following along, and
You make it up as you go.
yeah,
Just
I'm
like,
just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm just following along. And then, and as we progress, she goes, it's so weird that you know this exercise, but you don't know the 100. Like, how do you know this? But I didn't
mm,
know any orders of anything.
okay.
There were
Yeah.
no names. I didn't know any of that stuff. So, yeah, so it was like boot camp for me, like starting straight off the bat. I didn't
Yes.
start off with like, oh, a great Pilates knowledge. I just had been working on Pilates equipment. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah, it was like, and in the process, and this is how I know that Pilates is not for weight loss, because I only lost 12 pounds, but my body changed so
Mm,
dramatically. I went down probably 4 dress sizes. I was still heavier, but I felt better than I had in my entire life. You know what
when
I'm
you were
saying? Like,
lighter. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I mean,
You
it
just feel
wasn't even
better.
just about being lighter. It was just that I was
Yes.
stronger. I was
Right.
more flexible. Um, I could do things that I could never do, even when I was skinny. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, so it was like I just felt really good. And I just knew that, like, this is something I'll do for the rest of my life. And I
Yes.
didn't have that feeling until I got into Sherry's studio, when
Mm,
I learned the order, and that there was an order, and that there was a method to this madness. It wasn't just hop on the equipment and do exercises that mimic gym stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was that
yes.
this is a practice.
Right.
And
Interesting.
once
Yeah.
I learned that this was a practice and that there was a flow to it, it all made more sense to me. And I was like, yes, this is something I can do for the rest of my life.
That made me think of two comments that a friend of mine, Jamu, who's a kettlebell guy, has said to me in the past. One of them is there are exercises with a kettlebell, and then there are kettlebell exercises. And I think that's the same thing with Pilates. Sometimes we look at it like there's Pilates exercises, and then there's exercises with Pilates equipment,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And movement's movement, so I'm fine with all this. I'm not
Right.
knocking one or the other, but I could
Right.
see and you could appreciate when you get into that setting how lost you are because you don't
Mm-hmm.
understand the
Right.
system.
Right, because there was no system for me initially. And that's what I've been struggling with. And I think that that's what all classical instructors struggle with in our new social age is, seeing people, in Instagram and Facebook and all over the internet and doing exercises on Pilates equipment. And it's fine. Movement is movement as long as no one's getting hurt. Although I
Mhm.
have seen stuff where people admittedly hurt themselves and they still posted it. And it's like, why are you doing that? But, like I see stuff and I'm like, I see that you're doing movement and I can appreciate it. But for me, it's got to be a Pilates exercise for me.
Mhm.
For me, I, like you said, movement is movement. But for me, if I'm gonna do like I've taught boxing,
Yes.
I do jujitsu, I've done CrossFit stuff. I've taught CrossFit. I've taught
TRX.
weight. I teach TRX regularly.
Yeah.
I've taught all these different modalities of exercise. So for me, it's like, okay, if you want to do weightlifting, let's go do weightlifting. You
Hmm.
want to do TRX? Cool, let's do TRX. And we can add some different stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like we can do all these different things. But if you
Yes.
want to learn Pilates, let's do Pilates. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And I think
yes.
like let's really do Pilates. Let's learn the practice and let's
Hmm.
learn it to the point where like you own it.
You
That's
own
what
it.
yeah, that's
Yes.
my goal
Yes.
always is to teach to my clients. I don't care that you don't like the mat.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't care that you love the reformer because it's fun. It
Hmm.
is fun. We're gonna do some fun stuff. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? We're gonna play around with springs. We're gonna do all this stuff.
Right.
But you are gonna learn the mat. If you come to me, you're gonna learn the mat because
Hmm.
that's the foundation, and you're gonna own that no matter what. If you can't
Yes.
find a reformer, if you don't have a Pilates instructor, if the apocalypse happens
Yes.
and you can't go anywhere, you have the mat. You own it. It's in your brain. You know.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's always my goal
Absolutely.
is to
And I'm
give
sure
people
that's
something they own.
and that's all that comes out of your own preparation, right? Like, I mean, what you experienced walking into this room and not knowing the order, like you don't want
And
to have
also
someone
being
to,
able to be like, okay, so when I'm not doing it, not when I'm not in that studio, if I'm not in that space, if I go on vacation, I can get a workout. I don't
yes.
need anything. All I need is my body. That's so
Hmm. Hmm.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I can get a real good workout.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like to me that's
Absolutely.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And that there's a format to it. I don't know. I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah. Oh, likewise. And it's a beautiful, like, I hate to use a church analogy, but like it's like a liturgy, right? Like there's just a flow to it
Yeah.
that when you flow with it, you can also scan your body and understand how do I
Yes.
feel today? Because when I got
Yes.
to the roll up or leg circles, it felt better yesterday than it does today, or I was
Right.
looser today than it was. Like, so there's a sense of being able to do those checkpoints within your body as you
Right.
go through the order, and you can compare it
Right.
against
Right.
itself to see how you
Yeah. And
feel,
being
right?
able to
So,
just go back and even look at, yeah. And like you're saying, go back and say,
mhm,
yesterday didn't feel as strong. This feels really strong.
mhm,
And I think also the great thing to come out of all this filming ourselves and all of this stuff is that I have all these pictures. I go, well, in March, this is what my
yeah,
scissors and bicycle looked like. And now it
yes.
feels strong, it looks stronger, I'm getting more flexibility. You know
Mhm,
what I'm saying? It's not just in
mhm.
my brain. I can actually physically see that I'm getting
Yes,
stronger.
for
So
sure. Yeah, I mean, that's why I record a lot of my stuff is just to be able to just analyze it for myself, and
to
then
have your
I'll
to be the instructor, to be your own
to be
instructor.
my own instructor, and then I'll take
Yeah.
the next step and post it and get feedback from the community. Just
Now,
because,
do
like,
you get feedback from the community?
absolutely. I welcome people to give me,
Really?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things
Interesting.
that I'll do where I'm like, all comments welcome, or like, how would you
Really?
cue to this or whatever, and just get people to do it. Because
Oh,
it takes the edge off of it. Because I think that when sometimes people are afraid to put a post out there because they're afraid people are going to judge them, tell them that it's wrong, that they don't look right doing it. But if I take
yeah.
the edge off of that or take the
Right, by
power out of
asking
those
for it.
criticisms by asking for it, then
Interesting.
the challenge is on the person to say, well, now, am I brave enough to put my cues out there and people judge me on my
Hmm.
cues instead of judging that picture, right? Like, so
Interesting.
it just makes it really just creates it a safe place, that this picture becomes a safe place for people to dialogue around what cues that they used, how it helps their body. And yeah, so that, I don't know,
I'm gonna have to steal that from you.
please do, yeah, do it. And
It's
yeah, go
it's
ahead.
interesting that you say that though, because I'll see instructors doing things and I'll be like, oh. And my criticisms won't even be like, oh, you're doing that wrong. It'll be like, ooh, you could get deeper into that if you just did XYZ.
Yes,
And I feel very self-conscious being like, well, who the hell am I to tell this person how to do, or you know what I'm saying, or to
right.
cue them like, they didn't ask for this.
That's exactly it, Jess, and that's exactly why I do that, and I welcome that feedback. I'm inviting that feedback because if it's unsolicited, then you feel like you may offend somebody. What do I know? All those different things. But if I
Who
welcome
she
that,
thinks she is.
who does she think she is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
she
you know
is
what's
someone
so
I've
funny though
welcomed to
is
give
that
that
I
feedback.
invite those sorts of criticisms when I do yoga because I know that I don't know what I'm doing. Like
I
I know
noticed
that
that.
like
Yes.
yeah, I always am like I know I screwed this up, but like look.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you don't purport to be a professional with
I'm not a
yoga.
professional. I'm just I'm a practitioner just like anybody else. So like my clients
Yes.
who are like I've got a couple of clients who are like professional, they're professional yogis, and they'll be like,
Hmm.
"Oh, this is how you do this better." Or they'll give me feedback
Yes.
based on whatever you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't feel bad giving me criticism because I give them criticism on Pilates. So they don't
But
feel
yes, but at the same time, like we said half an hour ago, we're students forever.
Yeah.
We are
And
Pilates
I mean, I
students
would love
forever.
for somebody to reach out and be like, "Hey, you could get a little deeper," or "Here's how I," and I never thought of even asking for it. I just put it out there and I just say
Yeah,
whatever.
no, and right. This is how like it doesn't matter what we know. Like I mean, like we can always get better. We can always get deeper into our own
Yeah.
bodies.
Yeah.
And actually, true story. Based on that post about the semicircle I did last week, and
Mm-hmm.
so I put that out there, and then a few people were like, "Try it like this. Try it with the
Yeah.
bar up. Try this." So I did it,
Yeah.
reposted it,
I
and
I
then
watched that video like 3 times.
yeah. So and
I
I'm
was
sure
like,
you were like, "Oh, we could do
okay.
this. You could do that. Like
Yeah.
your hip could be here." Yeah, I'm fine to be a body for all those things. So it
Yeah.
helps us all to get better when people open themselves up to that, feedback because we all see different things. We've all been taught different ways, and we
Yeah.
all have different points of emphasis.
I love
So
that.
so I had a workout with Jamie White, core
Oh, I
star.
love her.
Yeah, she's so sweet. So she saw
You know
that
what's
post.
funny
Oh,
is
sorry, good.
she found me on Instagram and then she referred her brother to me and now her brother is one of my clients.
Amazing.
And yeah, and it's like and he's so fantastic. Like he's just like he's open to anything. He's really strong. It's fun and I
Yeah.
think she and I are gonna try and do a retreat in the
Oh,
next
that'd be
year.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I just
yeah.
did a session with her on Friday. So she just,
Fantastic.
yeah, she has such a great eye. So and that's the kind of thing that
Oh, I
comes
want
out
to
of
do a
that.
session with her. I haven't done a session with her
Yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah.
When I met her, she's pregnant, and then she
Okay.
was, and then she's got the babies and stuff, and she's been busy with. She's just now kind of coming back to being like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm coming in and doing.
Right.
Oh, what somebody said, are you making money from IG?
Yeah. So you are making money from IT. Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I am. I'm making
Yes,
money
you
for.
are making money.
I guess so. I just.
Thank you, Blossom. So you put her in her place. You are making
She's
money.
like, so see, there you go.
Yes.
You know what? Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, she's right. She's right. I have been, and you know what? What has been the interesting thing about IG is it brought me some clients back that like I had from my very first studio. They're
Yes.
like, oh, Jessica, like
You're still
I
there.
forgot that like I haven't seen you in 10 years. Like I have a client who's now taking TRX with me, and she was one of my
Wow.
very first clients in my first studio. So I'm
So
so like elated to have her back, and to be seeing her on the regular basis again.
so you stand corrected.
I do stand corrected. I do. I'm just not I'm not becoming a billionaire on Instagram. Like I don't know. I don't know what I think I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know. Yeah, I stand corrected.
So funny. So, who would you say is your ideal client right now? Like people who like you connect with, whether virtually, I guess online would be the best, but I
Okay,
mean,
so
in person actually would be the best, right?
no.
No? Okay.
No, honestly, it's been so interesting to watch who decided to take that jump and say, first of all, like I was like before the pandemic, I was just like, I'm not going to be online. I don't want to take pictures of I did March Madness, and that was what I would do every year, just because it's like, okay, well, I'll participate in this, and
Yes.
then I'll go back to posting pictures of my clients or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But not a whole lot of like me putting myself out there, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if that's just for fear of being judged or whatever else, but.
Yes.
Um, I didn't want to do film. I didn't feel comfortable doing it online. I just didn't. And I was taking sessions from Sherry online every once in a while. She would have like group reformer classes, and I was doing it. She kicked my butt, and it was amazing. So
Yes.
I already knew it could be done. But when the pandemic hit, I just immediately was like, let me sign up for Zoom. I sent out email. We're going to do it online because I don't know what's going on. My mom got real sick right away and ended up passing in June.
Oh,
So from the point of the beginning of the pandemic until now, I just had to hit the ground running. So it was
yes.
interesting to see who everyone was like, okay, cool. We understand your mom's sick. We're not coming in. You're going to do it online. And a lot of people just said, okay, we're going to do it. I'll make a
That's
space
what we
in my
do.
living room or whatever. And to see who stuck with it and to see how their bodies have changed and to
Hmm.
see how they've progressed has been just like this look on my face right now, like this is pure joy.
Yes.
Like, and
Yes.
this is what I like get off on as an instructor. Like
Yeah.
just watching
Yeah.
people like grow stronger. Like, look at you, you're doing stuff that you said you could never do. That you thought you told me you wouldn't do this, and look at you
Right.
now. You know what I'm saying? And like,
Yes.
so to
Beautiful.
see people get stronger and like, I think honestly, like online, there's a lot less time for lollygagging. You know,
Hmm.
people show up late, we want to talk story about what happened on the way over here, the traffic. You want to tell me about your boss, you know, or your kids or whatever. And I'm fine to listen to all that, but you know, and then I
Hmm.
have to corral you onto the equipment, or you know, I've even got some clients that like they won't work out unless I start doing some of the exercise with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, let's
Yeah.
get on the, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
like
Right. Yeah.
having to
So
corral
all that
people in
stuff's
my,
out of the way now.
all that stuff's out of the way. It's like,
Yes.
okay, boom, like we've got an hour and I've got somebody right after you. So let's hit the ground running. We could spend 5 minutes chit chatting, or, you know what I'm saying? Or we can wait until we've done all the work. And if we got some time left over, we can chit chat. But it's been really great to see how strong people have gotten, you know? And
Yes.
so I love the online stuff. And some of the people have been like, I don't want to do online. And then when we opened back up again, they came back and they were like, "Oh, I'm so out of shape." And I'm like, "You wouldn't have been if you'd have been working with me online this whole time.
Thank you.
You would have
Told
been,
you so,
you
woman.
wouldn't have missed a step."
Yeah.
So just
So this,
seeing who didn't want to do it and who, you know what I'm saying? So,
yes. So I'm just reading a couple of
and
the comments here. Liam says, "You guys really give us the confidence to do, to really be us. So thank you."
aw,
Um, Blaze is saying, "What were you saying about your lesson?" Oh yeah, about my lesson with Jamie.
oh, yeah.
Um, so she was saying that based on that semicircle, she was like, I used to work with a lot of NFL guys. I like working with
Mm.
athletes. I'd love to just train you once. So she took me through a bunch of exercises and she threw in a lot of movement prep stuff to set up exercises, and it's good. So it gave me a lot of tools for my guys and for my athletes and people like that. So it felt great in my body, but then it's also I got a chance to receive that lesson two ways: one for my own body, and two for the bodies that I will be teaching as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so it's really, really good. And she's actually
I
my
feel
guest
like,
on Friday too. So
yeah, I'm gonna tune in for that. I can't wait to hear
mhm.
what she's got to say. She and I have never actually spoken. I think we need to get together and do like a little, we need to do like a face to face or something because we've never actually spoken before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when you like, I love taking lessons from other instructors. Like, I love,
Hmm.
love, love it. And it was really great when we connected, the Black Girl Pilates group connected, because they have such a wealth of
Yes.
knowledge between all of
Yes.
us,
Yes.
and just the way that we all were able to get together and share that knowledge, and just be around each other. For me,
Yes.
it was just about the coming together and
Community.
the community, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But
Yeah.
also at the same time, we did some workshops and they kicked my butt. You know, Nicole
Yes.
Alvarez is a beast,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and she teaches completely different than I ever would. But man, that girl, she had me shaking. You
Yes.
know, so it's like, um, there's so many instructors that like I love, you know, and I've
Hmm.
taken some online sessions with Nicole. Have you worked with Nicole at
No,
all?
I haven't
She's
yet. No.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. You can get her on the show too. I'd love to hear what
Sure.
she's got to say.
Okay. Cool. Alvarez.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hunt her down.
I don't remember what her handle is on Instagram.
If anyone
But
knows it, just put it in the comment section.
yeah.
I'll repost this too. So we'll find her.
Yeah, but you know, and even when I work with Sherry, usually she only does classical, but she'll say, okay, today we're gonna do the classical whatever, but we're gonna work on shoulders. Everything is gonna be centered around shoulders, and you're like,
Oh, there's Jimmy right
well,
there.
damn. Hi, Jamie. Well, damn. All right. Like, I never thought of doing the whole, you know, or I never thought
Yes.
of doing the whole reformer
Oh,
workout and
core love
thinking only
culture.
about,
Yes.
yeah, thinking, oh yeah, that's core love culture. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Thinking
I love
only
culture.
about shoulders, or thinking only about, you know, your
Yes.
breathing, or you know what I'm saying, or just
Yeah.
or
Different points of
thinking,
emphasis. Right.
yeah, different points of emphasis. So, and then that's stuff that I take with me, you know, every
Hmm.
time I teach. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
though
Absolutely.
that's the kind of tools.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we have about 4 minutes left here. That was like super fast.
That was so
Um,
quick.
yeah, so the tools would be those things like movement prep stuff, Pilates cues, different verbal cues. Jamie, we're talking about some of the things that my takeaways from Friday's class. And then yeah, it's practicing some more of that this morning. It's good. It gets your body thinking and moving differently from different places, right? So you feel it in a different way. So it
Yeah,
is
definitely.
it's all good. All good.
I was so nervous to come on this morning.
Really? Why? Like what's
I think just because of like, I don't know. This is like the show. This is the internet show. You're the Jay Leno right now.
Well, you're the top guest. Like you're like the main star for the day.
Yeah, I
You're
got to be
and
the guest.
you
This
are
is
the guest.
exciting. I love
And
it.
circling back to right at the beginning, like you're good enough to stand on your own,
I am good enough. What is
right?
that? That
Like
Stuart Smalley? I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
there you go.
We all should say that to ourselves every morning
We
because it's freaking true.
is true.
It
Is
is.
yes. All right. On that warm, fuzzy note, we'll finish off. Thank you so much for joining me
All
today,
right.
Jess. And we'll continue
Thank
our conversation
you.
as always. Like we're always going back and forth on things.
Yes, I'll be on here watching and
Yes.
commenting and
Yeah, and I was going to say that too, just before we go. Thank you so much for just cheering on all the other people that come on that are thinking
yeah,
about
I
starting
love
their
it.
own business. You're there, like, yeah, go for it, girl, and like you're cheering them
Yeah,
on. So we need
definitely.
that. Like that really does, help us all get better. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right,
All
take
right,
care.
aloha.